Very excited to welcome back to the program the editor at large for Media Matters for America, Parker Malloy. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. I've been using your website more than like ever before to track the way the right-wing media recently has responded to some of the big developments, Trump getting COVID, the debate, and all of that stuff. And we wanted to talk about a couple of the pieces of work that you've put out recently, including we're going to start with one topic that everyone I guess has just forgotten is a thing. But like Trump just 1 week ago, less than a full week ago when we're recording this, basically gave the nod to the Proud Boys that they should stand by and watch to see what happens during the election. Now you've done a lot of research into the way that Fox News and the right have sort of talked about Gavin McInnes and the Proud Boys. What are some things that people need to know if they're not that familiar with this topic?
Sure. So Gavin McInnes is the founder of the Proud Boys, and he's kind of he was the co-founder of Vice magazine, which was, that was something. But he hasn't been affiliated with them in quite some time. But so a few years back in I think it was 2016, he founded this group called the Proud Boys, where it's basically just a bunch of Trump supporting dudes who like to go around and cause trouble, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so, he's talked about this group and how they will, he encourages violence, and he just likes to get in fights and talks about how great getting in fights is. It's just kind of his whole, like, it's a very macho kind of group. He calls it a gang. But it's this like macho kind of group where they go from town to town and have rallies and protests and stuff like that, but they're pretty extreme. I mean, they're right up there with other groups like that, Patriot Prayer, for instance. Very similar in the sense that they will, kind of go into cities like Portland, for instance, kind of looking for trouble.
Yeah,
and they tend to find it. But for years leading up to that, leading up to the founding of that, and even a little bit after, McInnes was kind of a regular on Fox News. Mm-hmm. He used to appear on that show Red Eye for a while. He made dozens of appearances on there. He appeared on Hannity fairly regularly, and this whole time he was still the gross, disgusting person that he is. He would still go and say sexist things about women. He was massively transphobic. That was my first ever encounter with him was online in 2014 after he wrote something really nasty about trans people. But just going beyond that, Fox kept having him on and kept kind of rehabilitating his image and lifting him up as the Proud Boys kind of got started. So Fox kind of threw him a lifeline when nothing else was out there. It kind of kept him in the mainstream after he had long distanced himself from Vice. So in a sense, Fox kind of propped up the Proud Boys so they could get started. And what's really interesting about all of this, about the Proud Boys as a group, is that they are everything that Fox talks about there being on the left when it comes to violence in the streets and fighting and stuff like that, where they're like, why won't the left denounce Antifa, that sort of thing. It's the Proud Boys kind of embody everything that they're telling Democrats that they need to denounce, but the Proud Boys are doing it on the right. For instance, after a group of Proud Boys got into a fight outside of a Gavin McInnes speech in New York in October 2018, Fox News the next day they led with a story where they were like leftist violence, and they were showing footage of the Proud Boys getting into fights and Gavin McInnes running around with a sword. I don't know why he had a sword, but he did.
He seems like the type.
Yeah,
and let's be clear here too that yes, it's the thing that Fox says the left will do. They'll imply that the left does, but this isn't just sort of the implication that the Proud Boys, like, we think, oh, they're kind of violent. Like, he says, no, to be a Proud Boy, you have to get in a fight. We are going to come, we're gonna fight people. Like, they could not be more open about that as the goal of what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. They're a group that's we put together a really great video, I think, over at Media Matters, just kind of rounding up a lot of McInnes's public statements on fighting and violence, and they're pretty brutal. He advocates for punching women in the face, and just he says fighting solves problems, and and a lot of people clearly take him literally, because there have been Proud Boys who've gotten arrested at events for starting fights and for stuff like that. So it's concerning when Trump gives them essentially a shout out and tells them to stand by, which maybe he meant stand down, but by saying stand by, they got the message. They immediately kind of started running with that. Stand back and stand by, selling merch and stuff like that.
Yeah. So how did Fox News respond to that? I mean, as you laid out, Gavin McInnes had been on multiple shows. They know this guy. Like, the red eye might be gone, but Greg Gutfeld is still on Fox News. So how did they respond to what the president said, and what the president was being asked to say about this group?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of pushback on Fox, which really shouldn't surprise anyone, I guess. On Fox, there was a lot of not really playing up their connections with the group, kind of obviously. But anytime someone would speak up and would kind of press Trump on why he wouldn't just do the easy thing and denounce white supremacy, or why he wouldn't denounce it a certain way, you would get hosts who would go out and straight up attack their own colleagues to be like, why are you falling into this trap? Why are you asking these sorts of questions? He clearly denounces white supremacy, yada yada yada. So they do this thing, and it happens a lot, and you see it happen across a lot of different sort of areas of Fox News, where they will take something that's happening and they will only highlight the bad things that happen when it's someone on the left doing them, as opposed to someone on the right. So that's where you get this sort of idea where it's, only conservatives get suspended on Twitter, or all this violence is only coming from the left, or any number of examples where they create this sort of reality where one side, where it's a good versus evil kind of setup, where they're always being bullied by tech companies and targeted for violence in the streets and stuff like that just doesn't match up with reality.
Yeah. Then that could be like the tagline. Fox News.
Fox News, not quite reality.
Not quite matching up with reality. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.